Hey guys, just a short video on my time in the Philippines. And it started out, kind of hassly, getting the plane tickets, getting the Airbnb or whatever the hell they call those rental companies that can find you a place to stay. But once all that got kind of hammered down, the ticket got set up. I mean, it went pretty smoothly from there. Had absolutely no problem at the airlines. They shot me through pretty quick, And also, I just carried a carry-on bag, so I didn't have to hassle with going to the luggage area and mess with all that nonsense. And got through there, and like I said, all that went pretty well. Ended up flying, I believe it was from Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, O'Hare, into Manila and stuff. And the cost of my ticket, guys, and I paid the ticket agent a huge tip of about $400. It was around Christmas time, and I thought, she was so helpful. So, I probably wouldn't do that this time. I'd probably be a little bit more like $100, not the $400. But got all that settled up. My ticket was like $3,500, including what I gave her for a big tip. Got to the Philippines. I stayed up the entire time. I never even closed my eyes one time, and I don't sleep good anyway. So I'm sitting there looking at, everybody else is conked out dead, and I'm kind of still, up and about. But went the entire trip, the entire 20 hours I went, and I was not sleeping any, because I didn't want to miss a point of getting off, any of that. So when I got to the airport, that all went smooth. The ticket agent, or not I guess you call him a ticket agent, the guy that stamps your stuff and checks your passport, it was just boom, boom, bing, and I was in. He didn't give me any hassle, any problems at all. And then when I went to where I was supposed to go out, the exit doors, I'm kind of looking, and I'm a little far away, and I see one girl kind of holding a sign up, like big sign, holding it up. And I'm looking like, no, and I'm trying to see, is that my girlfriend? And then when she walked a little closer, you'll see me in the video, on stuff. I have the backpack on, and I shrug my shoulders like this, and I drop it right away, and we embrace. And then I was talking to her about how petite and small she was, because she always told me I'm small. So then I'm telling her, my God, you are pretty small, because she was a very petite, small girl. So we did the little ballerina spin around thing and hugged. Well, then, from there, we went ahead and got a little tuk-tuk, I believe it was. Pretty sure it was either a cab or a tuk-tuk. I think it was those little tuk-tuks. But we rode it to the place, I knew the place I had pictures of it. It's a beautiful place, kind of a resort type thing. And they take us to this thing out in the frickin' jungle, man, and I'm thinking, like, it's a little, like, kind of different style. It's a different style setup there. There's some people walking by me, so you're going to hear some other people talking. But anyway, it was kind of more of a hoodie type jungle setting. And that was pretty cool and all, I'm kind of waiting for these guys to go by here so they don't think I'm talking to them. Okay, but once we got there, I'm looking at my stuff, and I'm like, this is not the place I rented. This shit ain't gonna fly, Well, then we got to talking with the lady there that checked you in, and she goes, no, we know where that place is, we know. So then they offered to give us a ride in a I guess it's like a jeepney, but it's one of those little trucks that have been kind of converted to a jeepney, those little multi-cabs. And we got in the back of it, and then they got us right to our resort, and everything went smooth. And my time there was like perfect. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I only had a month, to figure out what people are doing and how they are. But I liked the way people were. Everybody was just getting along to get along, doing what they had to do, and moving along, doing what they needed to do. And you get on the roads, like when I rented a mini bike or a scooter, The traffic is so chaotic, but it all works. All the craziness and the people turning, coming beside you on the, left-hand side of the road, taking the very, very shoulder to get around you. It just all worked, man. I didn't ever see any accidents when I was there. I know there are some that happen kind of off and on, but when I was there, everything just ran smoothly. It was so cool. And I believe that when I first got there, my girlfriend and I was pretty, beat and pretty wore out and tired. And it was evening time, so it was getting to be night. And I just crashed, There's actual pictures of it where I'm laying on her chest and I'm just dead, I'm asleep. And have some pictures of us the next day where you can just see on my face how happy I am to be with her, I mean, my eyes, you could tell in my eyes and the way I looked, it's like, I had a lot of grief. My wife had died, my grandma died, my mom died, all kind of close to each other. So I had like a lot of not problems, but just the loss of losing loved ones. And so getting to see her, and she was so loving and caring, very cool. Super, super cool. And, one of her worries was when we met, she thought it was going to be like awkward, like, oh, I'm shy. And I told her, we've been talking for months. I said, it's not going to be awkward. I said, when we meet each other, it's going to be just like nothing, other than we're in person. And that's exactly how it was. When we met, there was no shyness or like, or standoff. We just got together perfectly. It was so cool. But one of her friends had teased her because I had my head laying on her chest and I was, knocked out of sleep. And then one of her friends kind of teased her and said, oh, he's sleeping on you, but I have bigger boobs, and all this stuff. And, I don't have nobody sleeping on me. So that was kind of a funny little thing. But when we got our day started the next day, we I remember if we went out and got water, and I think we did a little grocery shopping to get some food. We started trying different places to eat at. One of them, I call them a mom and pop place because they're low-keyed. And there's a mom, running it. It's a family-owned business. We went to a little restaurant like that. And then it was so cool, man. Just having, it was like almost just like having a home like cookout or something. It was so cool. And then they had kids that got off of school, and they would come in there to eat their little lunches their parents packed for them, or buy a little something from the store. And I thought that was cool. All these guys, all these kids in there and just sitting there eating and doing their thing. But it was a very neat place. I liked it a whole lot. I think the first one we went to was a little bit more upscale, kind of nicer surroundings and settings, and a little, I don't know what you call it, like I think it actually was like a train car maybe, kind of themed like that. But it was a little one, and that one ended up turning out really, really good too. We ate there, but everything that was in the Philippines that I ate, I liked it all. There was one thing my girlfriend made me that was like super freaking chewy, man. And it was like the stem of something, on the leaf. And I swear to God, I tried to eat it. I chewed and chewed and chewed, and I couldn't get that stuff to break down. It was, I always teased her and said it's like eating stems, that I don't like eating stems. But that's the only thing. And it wasn't the taste. It was just I could not get those to break down, where you could swallow it. They just stem in. But other than that, everything else was great. My girlfriend's real good at cooking, or my ex-girlfriend was real good at cooking. She cooked some nice stuff at the house. We got to go. Oh, we had a real cool place we went to a couple times, and I can't remember. I think they had like a gangster name to it, kind of, but I can't remember the damn name. But it's in Panglao. But it's a really nice pizza place, and we'd order like a large pizza, and then she'd order something, and I was like, oh damn, we must look like pigs, we're sitting there ordering what a family would order. But it was good, man. Their pizza was good. They had a spaghetti rice that I think had squid ink in it. It was black, and it tasted real good too. It tasted great. Another place we went to was this place. God, I'm trying to remember their name now. But what they did is this little place is like a very little nook, and they're all over the place, but they're very small. and something like you see at a carnival, but more of a permanent setting, in a building that can't be moved. But Angel Burgers is what they were called, if I'm not mistaken. I think the name was Angel Burgers. But they had a good old deal, because you could go buy one, hamburger, cheeseburger, and then get another one free. You could buy 1 foot-long hot dog, and then you get another one free. And, then we left there with leftovers and stuff, and we'd stop in there and eat. And then my girlfriend told me, is there anything different after you ate there? Have you seen anything different? And then I said, well, I've kind of got the runs now, the food's running right through me. And she said, me too, because of it had to be the Angel Burger place. But that stuff was good, man. That was good. And, but that was a cool place to go to, sitting on kind of a little bar stool out amongst people that are walking on the road as they come by. One of the fun things that we did is we went to Alona Beach quite a few times and just had fun out in the water, out in the ocean. And she'd holler at me because I'd sit down, where I can mess with the sand underneath and, feel the rocks and the different things. And she said, you need to stop doing that because you're filling your shorts full of sand. And I'm like, there's no way, and I kind of dismiss it. Well, then when I felt my pockets, they were freaking damn near halfway full of sand from the sand I was playing with. And I thought, oh, shit. Because she would diligently wash all of our clothes, like, immediately and stuff. I mean, she was a very cool girl, for sure. Very cool. And I had a great time the time I spent with her. I really did. I mean, my mistake was I didn't get back there fast enough. That's what caused the breakup, is I couldn't get back fast enough. And I had planned on being back here in a couple months, and staying on a more permanent basis, like maybe 7-8 months. But that was the main hang up with our relationship, is I just couldn't stay there longer, or I couldn't get there fast enough, And I understand she was just barely 30 after we broke up. And, she's a young lady and, has certain needs, and I kind of understand the breakup, but the way it broke up was pretty brutal. It was pretty messed up. Like I said, I'm not going to go in the negative stuff, but it could have went better. It could have went better with a simply, hey, Patrick, I can't stand this anymore, I'm going to go ahead and date other people. And now it still would have crushed my freaking heart like it did, but it wouldn't have been the other stuff that happened, the sneakiness, the hiding things. It would have been honest and upfront and all that. But, I'll get away from that since it's done and did. But like I say, we went to the beaches. We went to another one, I think that was called a public beach. It was just down a little ways from the Alona Beach. And that was a super cool beach. We were having like mango floats, different things at the little restaurant-y thing that was there. And then we would, be in the ocean and just swim, sit there. I took a lot of beautiful pictures of her. She's a beautiful girl. And I took a lot of really good pictures of her. They're really nice pictures. Kind of posing. There's a series of about 4 or 5 I did. There's a little American Jeep on the Alona Beach. It's all painted nice, American Jeep. And she posed on it and did some different moves, modeling moves type stuff. And those turned out really cool too. They turned out great. But we would go to the malls. I can't remember the particular names of them or where they were at. I would just follow her lead. I'm driving and she would, tap me or say turn left, turn right, and stuff. But the other thing she would say early on is like, go this way. And then I tell her, I don't know what this way is. I need a right or a left. I don't know what this way is. Oh guys, there's a little squirrel right out here by my Hummer, man. So I'll see if it's gonna let me record him. I don't know if you all can see him out there. He's right by my Hummer. When he gets a little bit closer, I'll maybe try to get a better shot of him. I'm out here at a big old park in Beatrice and stuff. But anyway, back to the thing. We went to these malls, and I wanted to meet so bad the foreigner in the Philippines, or I think it was foreigner in the Philippines, something like that. But it was a guy I had talked to for years, and I wanted to meet him so bad. And then what was funny is we were at the same place they were at before them. We were posing by this big beautiful Christmas tree in the mall, and we were at that same spot, because then when we go to their page, boom, they're posing in front of the same exact thing. And another thing I regret out there is there was a guy that I talked to a lot online, and we'd argue back and forth, but we do it in a friendly manner, where we're still cool with each other. And he would sit there and do videos and say goofy things on his live, and I'd comment on it. Like one day he claimed because President Trump was wearing gloves that meant a certain thing, and I told him all it means is he's sitting in about 30-degree weather and he's cold. I said it's none of these little secret conspiracy meanings. But he was a cool dude, and what's sad with him is he got an injury on his leg where a big old piece of wood slid down and he didn't catch it, and it put a big slash, kind of nasty wound on his leg. He sat there around that. Before that happened, I almost cut my pinky off. This one here, where you see the scar going around it, pressing on a cold glass window under my house to get the window closed, and that glass shattered and broke, and it damn near cut my pinky off. So I had to go into the hospital and stitch it up. Well, he would laugh about that, and he would say, oh, when I was on construction, I would have just, wouldn't have probably bothered washing it. I would have just kept on working. And I'm telling him, you're bad shit crazy, dude. My finger was done. It had to be stitched and everything else. But then he gets this wound on his leg, and he tries to play his little theory that, I can just wrap masking tape around it, and I'll just keep doing this and doing that. Well, he ended up getting a serious blood infection from doing that, and he ended up dying, after I had left the Philippines. But I would have liked to have met him, and talked to him, because he was a cool dude. He had some odd conspiracy theories going on in his head, but he was a pretty cool dude. And God, we went to this underground cave when we were there, my girlfriend and I. We took a lot of cool pictures then. She was holding a big old python. I think she got it was a yellow one, a yellow python. But yeah, it was really cool. We got to go do that. We got to go to see the little tazirs, they call them suicide monkeys, because they can't be kept in captivity, because they'll bang their head and self-harm themselves until they die. But they're a very peaceful little animal. They don't want any noise, any racket. So when you go through the sanctuary, you gotta be super quiet. Don't be talking out loud, because it spooks these little things and causes problems with them. But we got to do that, and then I don't know if you can see this tattoo right here. Let's see if I can get it up there close enough. This is a tarsier I got here sitting on a banana, and then it's got my girlfriend's name and my name and the year that we did it in 2023. But that was a cool experience, going there. Getting my 2 tattoos was very cool, because the tattoo artist was one of the absolute best. He did the tarsier, then he did my gator. I don't know if you can see him there. He did my gator Gotti on my arm there. And these tattoos were $100, and if I was to do these in Beatrice, I'm probably going to get it hit about $200, $325 for them. So if you want to get good tattoos, find you a good tattoo artist in the Philippines, and they'll do you good. He charged about $100 for a space about this big. So you imagine if you put that together, you're talking about that big. And so he'll do a tattoo like that for about $400, and here it would be in the thousands. Not maybe 2,000, but at least over 1,000. So that's something too. Another regret I have when I visited the Philippines is I wanted to go. They have the oldest living tattoo artist in the Philippines, and it's a little old lady that's 107 years old, and she tattoos old style with the little pin and then hit the little hammer, And now what she does is, since she's getting older, she'll do 3 dots on you, like a little pattern of a dot, dot, dot. And that's cool, because you can say at least, I got tattooed by the oldest tattoo artist in the world, and I didn't get to do that. I probably will when I go back. I'll definitely try to get all these things that I couldn't do in the limited time I had there done, you know. But I have nothing bad to say about the Philippines because nothing bad happened to me there. You know, I had my picture taken with police. Everybody was cool and happy, and you know, you hear a lot of people bag them like, you know, it's stressful because, you know, things take longer to get done. But you're in the Philippines, and if you're retired there, what does it matter if it takes a couple extra minutes, or, you know, you get told you have to come in the next day? You're on retirement, man. Just kick back and chill. You ain't doing nothing anyway, you know. But this next time I go back, I'm planning on staying a lot longer and stuff, because I did have a lot of fun there. The only thing is I'm going to either have to hire somebody, I don't know, maybe even hire a temporary maid as a maid and a guide, so she can sit there and because I tell you one thing they will do. If you go to get anything, if you got white skin, you're a foreigner and you're rich, and they want to charge you double or triple for anything you buy. If you have a Filipino with you that knows the prices, they can't do that. You know, same with the cab rides. When I left from Manila just to fly a little, or not to fly, but to drive a little ways across the street to another airport part where I could fly off and then go to Pinglao, man, they charged me up the ass for that. Oh, this, oh, my kids, oh, this. And I paid out because I had a bunch of money on me, and so I just, yeah, here you go. And I probably was a good idea on one of them, because if I would have took the bus, you know, he got to take this fast route, and all the other people got to take this slow route down below that was like not moving. It was like, you know, nothing. They're so bumper to bumper. Well, I got to take a fast route since I guess I paid extra or whatever, and he buzzed me along another road that we didn't get blocked up until we got to the tail end of it. And then it was, you know, it got a little slow, cars moving a little slow, but it got me there just in the nick of time to get on my next plane to fly to Pinglao. So it was, I guess that one was worth it, paying a little bit more. But one thing I would tell you is, if you meet a Filipina and stuff, and I didn't follow this rule at all, because the first two Filipina girlfriends I had worked, they both had jobs. They never asked me for a dime. It was like pulling teeth for them to accept money. You know, like maybe their house needed a couple pieces of tin, and they were going to strip it off a barn that they had. And then I told my girlfriend, then, no, don't do that. I said, don't wreck the barn and make it where its roof needs to be fixed. I'll send you the money to buy. It's just a couple, you know, panels of tin roofing, that corrugated stuff. So I went ahead and would do stuff like that, but it'd be periodically. It wouldn't be like every day, you know. So follow the rules that every expat tells you. And I know it's super hard to do if you're a nice and a kind person, because you want to be helpful, but don't send money. The minute you send money, you lower your wealth, or you lower your worth to the Filipina. Once you start sending money, they don't look at you. They look at you a little lower, like, oh, this guy's just so easy, you know, he's just going to send money. And then they start to change kind of how their attitude changes a little bit and stuff. And I mean, in holy Moses, you don't want to see what happens when you don't send money on the exact date they thought it was supposed to come. I mean, all hell breaks loose, you know. But overall, you know, everything went good. The breakup with my ex was bad, you know, and I kind of, you know, I don't want to get into details about it, but it was bad. It was very bad. It showed me no respect, and it was just like kind of rubbing it in my face, like, haha, this is it, what I did, and I'm gonna be sneaky about it, not tell you, you know, and stuff like that, because I wasn't told straight away. I had to find out. But anyway, guys, I've kind of covered like a lot of stuff there and how fun it was to be there. And like I say, I'm going back, you know, and I'll be back there. It just won't be back there to see my ex, you know. I'll be off on another adventure with somebody else. But anyway, I think we're running at, man. almost 25 minutes. So I'm going to end this video, and I will talk to you guys later. Like I always say, peace out. Have a good day. Tell somebody you love them. Peace out.